Big news once again this week. It turns out the compact car is going to be made in Berlin. I feel like I might have speculated that repeatedly over the past couple months, but here we are, and it's now closer to reality than ever before. What does this mean? Is this good for the company? Is it bad? Are they capitulating on sales on other models? Are we doomed, Randy? We will discuss all that and so much less. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend.
Welcome.
Welcome, Randy. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me to my own show. It's great to be here. I am told.
You're told.
I'm told. I have to be told. That's just how life goes sometimes. So yeah, the $25,000 car. And I don't think it's $25,000. I think what we saw was 25,000 euros, which buys you a little bit of breathing room for the margin.
I read that that's 26,400.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. And in England, they're calling it. Yeah, this week. Yeah, we did see some CapEx or Forex impairment in the last quarter of a number that I was not expecting. It was quite high because got dollars in different currency.
Very strong. Very strong right now. But it's beginning to weaken as interest rates come down.
The dollar is so strong that is actually what they burn to power the Lucid, as far as I can tell with how much it costs. Okay. I feel like we should probably talk about the subject.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The compact. So we've had some discussions about what it could be. You seem to be of the mind that it's going to be robotaxi centric, while I'm thinking it'll be more of a city car.
You've got me all wrong. I think it will be multiple versions on the same platform. I think there will be a very, very, very good hatchback of some kind or variety, something related to a hatchback, probably something maybe hopefully very distinct, but still in that same size category. And that will be kind of the fundamental product. Then you'll have a similar, that same thing, maybe slightly different, maybe the interior is laid out differently. And then that will be your robotaxi car. And then there will be maybe a van and maybe a small pickup. There could be multiple cars coming off of this particular platform. That's my vision of the future.
Do you know what the best-selling car in Europe is? And it's not the Model Y.
It's the Renault.
It is the 208.
Yes.
It's a 18,000 euro car, so about 20 grand-ish. It's a small hatchback, and it moves units. Now, if you've got a choice between a $20,000 gas car or a $25,000 compact Tesla, $26,000, even without incentives, you're going to choose the Tesla. But with incentives, I mean, at that point, it's ridiculous. What are we even talking about? But even without incentives, the cost of electricity is higher in Europe than it is in most of America, but the cost of petrol is vastly higher, double, triple what we pay here. Crazy. And it works because that's one of their tax bases, and things are close enough together, and public transit exists in a meaningful and effective way. But if the Renault 208 is the most popular car, we're no longer unseating BMW and Mercedes and Honda and Toyota. We're unseating the cheapest car out there. What do you think the experience difference in driving a compact Tesla would be versus driving the cheapest car in Europe?
Well, I think, I hadn't really thought that through, but right off the top of my head, I mean, you just got your Model Y. We've had ours for almost 3 years now. The first experience you have when you jump into a Model Y this is off the planet, so different than what I'm used to, that I'm either going to probably think it's amazing, or I'm going to think it's what? Or I might not like it. If I'm not a minimalist thinker, I may not like this minimalist look. I like my knobs and my gauges and all this kind of stuff going on. But for me and for my wife and for lots of other people who have gotten in the car with me, and apparently for millions of others, that minimalist look is very, very exciting and is a selling point.
Well, let's just compare the horsepower and torque of a budget Renault versus what's likely to be on the cheapest Tesla ever made. You know the Tesla's still going to have fun performance.
Oh yes, absolutely. There's going to be no doubt about that, and I don't know that that driver cares as much about the performance, but it might be kind of that extra little fun thing, that it's like they may not be the individual who is like, I don't know about you, Brian, I'm still at this ancient age. When I get on the freeway at this particular location, I've got a very long ramp, and 0 to 60, and on the Model Y, it's probably around 5.5 seconds. On my Volvo, it's around 5 seconds. So anyway, I still do that all the time. But the person that buys Renault, I don't know if that's the same person.
That's a good point. But it is more fun.
But it'll be more
and
fun.
It's going to be, it will presumably come with autopilot, as all Teslas do. It will be ideally FSD upgradable at some point in the future. It may have unlockable things like acceleration boost. It's going to have better safety.
Did you know?
That's huge.
Did you know that the number one reason that people make a decision on a car is safety? Now that's a stat that I don't believe, but it's been tested over. I'm sorry. Now, among women, moms, that I believe that. They like to be up. I know I've talked to many women who like to be up in the air. They like to be high, like in a truck or like in a minivan or
a Suburban
SUV. They like that being up thing, and they like to feel safe in the car. I don't think I've ever cared for a minute whether I was safe in the car or not, other than, anyway. So, but there's a big part of the population that safety is the number one consideration, as opposed to the looks or the speed or the performance or the gas mileage or anything else. Safety is number one. So yes, I think this car will be probably, as with all Teslas, demonstrably safer than that little Peugeot.
Okay. And there's a lot of, so I'm going to say what that survey proves is that most car buyers are willing to lie on a survey about their actual reason for buying a car. And I think that's worth considering. This was the first car I bought because of safety.
Oh, okay.
Now, it was the tipping point, but I can't say it was the main reason. My van was getting old and I needed to replace it, and I wanted a spaceship. And so why not get the safest spaceship in the world?
That's right.
And, in terms of spaceships, I would like to point out there's only one car in space at the moment.
That's true.
Boy, talk about range on a single tank.
That's right. And for a moment, because pretty soon, if we ever get this Starship off the ground, we might have lots of cars going to Mars.
I wonder which model they would choose. It would only make sense to use a Cybertruck. So I think this is a very good news, very big news. And I think we talked about this on your show the other day or today or sometime. I believe that Berlin could be producing these within 2 years. But I really think it's going to be maybe more like 2.5 because they haven't broken ground yet. Yes. The ground is graded and prepped. The preliminary permits are approved. The land use has been approved. The only reason I think it might be moving more quickly than we realize, that they might be coiling the spring, is because they've begun clearing land at the north of the site where a additional train station will go for the commuter rail. Oh, yeah. And if they're putting that in, then that means, you don't generally put those in 3 years in advance. That could be a big deal. That could be something quite important. So that's a factor to consider. And the market's ready for it. Cheap cars are needed.
The market's ready. The investors are clearly ready. The thing that I keep falling back on in terms of having things happen faster somehow, whether it's through limited lines of initial production or something, the only thing I keep falling back on is I don't know why Elon would hesitate? I know why he would hesitate to build an entire factory in Mexico if he thinks markets are not that great. But what would his hesitation be to bring a Generation 3 vehicle to market, which is the mass market car that is the ultimate kind of thing, plus it's going to be the robotaxi car. I mean, everything about it is in his mission, plan, statement,
So you're asking, what do we look for to know that this is moving forward? And I have an answer.
Oh, there you go.
It is, when will the Chinese gigafactories making batteries in Europe come online? Not just the Chinese, but the Korean, the Japanese, because you've got Panasonic, you've got CATL and BYD, you've got LG and Samsung out of Korea. A lot of those companies and others whose names escape me at the moment are building factories in Europe for batteries. If we know what the expected completion and ramp dates are on those, we might have a better picture. Because we know Tesla can use batteries from anyone. They use LG in some, CATL, BYD, Panasonic, and their own, at least. And so there's, I don't remember, did I say BYD? Anyway, yeah, they're using, they are brand agnostic, they are chemistry agnostic, but they need the batteries. And if they're going to build something that's going to be churning out 1 million, 2 million, even more per year, they're going to need, even for a smaller pack, this might only have a 50 kilowatt hour pack, they're going to need a lot of batteries.
Okay.
And if they're doing LFP, that means they don't need to find more cobalt. They don't need to find more nickel.
Right.
And lithium, we've seen the prices plummet because the speculators got a little too ambitious in their acquisition of futures contracts and got a little burnt. So I think we're going to be okay on that front. We just got to build the factories, because battery factories are very sophisticated and difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'd want to know, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Guys, in them comments, you got to leave it. You got to leave it. Randy's saying, don't leave any comments. Randy says, don't leave comments. Go to his channel and leave comments there. But I want you to comment on this video, about this video, but on a random video of his, where it's just, we're saying, the LFP bat. We're talking about AI. I don't understand. Where did you come from? Team Brian. So for everybody else, like, subscribe, bonk buttons, who knows what to do. Best-selling author Randy Kirk joining us once or twice a week, as he do. All his links are in the description, because I'm a nice guy. And, everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy. Can't wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the next one.